have returned to the hottest show, hottest podcast, hottest form of conversation in terms of Alabama football. This is, in my own words, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Folks, this is only for the die-hard Bama fans. The ones that bleed crimson and white, that drip crimson and white, that represent this team to the death of you. You can't get enough of this team. You can't escape this team. You crave to watch this team. You echo everything Nick Saban says and stands for. If you're one of those types, Touchdown Alabama Magazine YouTube. Go to it right now. Get your hands on it. Subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the site. Like the podcast. Like the site. Leave comments, thoughts, ideas, concerns. We want to hear conversation, debate from you, because it's you guys that drive the content in terms of Alabama football. Touchdown Alabama Magazine YouTube. Also, tdalabamamag.com, the online website, number one stop shop for all things Tide football. You want game recaps, practice recaps, press conferences, the best in recruiting news from some of the best writers in the business, tdalabamamag.com. Get that subscription today. $5.95 a month. $5.95 a month. Get that subscription today. Also, we have the app now. App for the Android. We have an app for the iPhone. No excuse. You want the best Bama coverage? Touchdown Alabama Magazine has you covered there. Started out with looking at the 5 Louisville players that Alabama needs to be mindful of, but now we switch gears here. I put 5 Crimson Tide players on the clock, and these 5 guys have to emerge, show up, show out, give a great first impression for the 2018 season. And the number one guy, to the surprise of no one, I have Lyndell Mack Wilson at linebacker. It's his time. He's had so many other guys in front of him show him the way. He's watched so many other guys that have come through the capstone and have had success, whether it was D'Amico Ryans before Saban or in the Saban era, Rolando McClain, Donta Hightower, C.J. Mosley, Reggie Ragland, Reuben Foster, Sean Dion Hamilton, Rashawn Evans. He has seen how the blueprint works at inside linebacker, and now he gets his chance to stitch his own chapter or to etch his own chapter within that blueprint. Because with a young secondary, you've got experience on the defensive front. With the young secondary, Wilson's got to put these guys where they need to be at in order for them to have success. And this season sets up for him to do that. He's my number one guy, Maserati Mack. It's time for him to dance. He's got a chance to be a first-round pick, a top 10 pick, a numerous award winner from Bronco Nagurski to Chuck Bednarik to Dick Butkus. But it all starts this game against Louisville, putting this team in position to win on defense. He's number one. And number 2, sticking with the defensive side of the football, I wanted to go with the secondary here, but I'll go defensive line here, and I'll pick up Quinnen Williams, redshirt sophomore out of Birmingham at defensive tackle. Had 6.5 tackles for loss a season ago. I mentioned in the first segment, Alabama's got to collapse that pocket in affecting Juwan pass. You cannot allow this man to step up, get comfortable, or he will tear you apart, throwing the football. This is where Quinnen Williams comes in. We know what to expect from Raekwon Davis. He's a freak. We know what to expect from Isaiah Buggs. He plays with a nonstop motor. But for Quinnen Williams taking over for Daron Payne at 6'4", 289 pounds here, he has got to get inside the interior line of Louisville and collapse that pocket and force Juwan Pass to get out of the pocket. Force him to throw off his spot, off timing, or force him out to where your guys in Davis, Buggs, Mack Wilson, Dylan Moses, Christian Miller, Anthony Jennings can converge and get those tackles for loss, those negative plays. If Quinnen Williams can force Juwan pass out the pocket, it's going to be interesting because now with him throwing off target, you get that young defensive backfield some confidence because a couple of wobbly throws equals a couple of picks, equals a couple of big-time plays, equals that turnover belt being passed around, equals a very excited, confident Alabama secondary, and that's what Nick Saban wants. And that starts with a guy like Quinnen Williams affecting the quarterback from the inside, collapsing the pocket. He is number 2 for me. Number 3, we go to the offensive side of the football where we pick up running back Josh Jacobs. This young man is finally healthy for the first time since his freshman year. When he's healthy, this is the Swiss Army knife for Alabama football because he creates so much attention for what he does. He's strong running the ball in between the tackles despite his size at 5'11". He's got elusiveness in space. He's got soft hands as a pass catcher. He's an underrated pass blocker. The guy can do it all. When he's healthy, he's on. I go back to last season for just a minute here. When Brian Dable came to Alabama from the National Football League, New England Patriots with Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the crew, he had Alabama's offense with Josh Jacobs as the centerpiece, right? And the reason why that was, during Dable's time with the Patriots, he had guys like Rex Burkhead and Dion Lewis and James White and Shane Vereen, the guys that can catch the ball at the backfield. Those running backs that were dynamic pass-catching weapons that really complimented Tom Brady. Tom Brady can make a 2-year-old look good, but when you got guys at the backfield catching the ball from him, you get what I'm saying. The offense that Brian Dable was bringing to Alabama from New England had Josh Jacobs written all on it. And due to the fact that Jacobs was hurt, had that nagging ankle injury for much of the year, you had to adapt the offense around someone else. Jacobs healthy, Jacobs 100%. He looked very sharp in the Alabama Open practice, the fan day. He's looked very strong throughout the entire summer, throughout fall camp. He's even told reporters, stop saying I'm being limited in camp. I'm fine. I'm good. I can go. You heard it from the horse's mouth, folks. Josh Jacobs can go. He's ready for the season. And here's a guy that the last 2 years, we're talking 1,205 all-purpose yards, 851 rushing yards, 324 receiving yards, 7 total touchdowns. Kid can absolutely play. Damian Harris talked about it during player interviews on Monday. When he's healthy, when he's hitting the hole, when he's on, you can't stop Josh Jacobs. He's an absolute spark plug. You saw it against Mississippi State a season ago where Bo Scarborough was having a tough time getting going. You put in Josh Jacobs. He was getting 4 yards here, 5 yards here, 8 yards here, breaking a tackle there, just pumping guys up. He is the Swiss Army knife of his offense. He's number 3 because his speed on Louisville speed, I take Josh Jacobs' speed. I take Josh Jacobs getting to the corner, especially with the offensive line and the crop of wide receivers to block for him that Alabama's got on the roster. Number 3 is Josh Jacobs. Going to number 4 here, flipping back to the defensive side of the football, going to the secondary. As much as I would not mind putting Deontay Thompson here, I think Thompson has shown himself to be a bit more proven now. I'm going to go with Trevon Diggs in the spot. Last year, he won the job at left corner in fall camp. All the details you heard about him, frustrating wide receivers, being physical, getting into guys' skin, being aggressive, being rough and tough with no apology, that was Trevon Diggs. Won the starting job in fall camp, had a couple of busted coverages against Florida State, got a little bit nervous. Former walk-on Levi Wallace takes over, takes the spot. The rest is history. He seems to have won the job in fall camp again. The question is, can he hold it this time? He got passed up by a former walk-on in Levi Wallace the first time. Now you've got an uber-talented true freshman in Patrick Surtain Jr. who has an NFL pedigree. Father played 11 years in the National Football League. Can Diggs hold him off? That's the question. The biggest issue with Diggs is he's always been a talker. He's always been somewhat of a chatterbox. Talk. According to sources I've conversated with, he's calmed down a lot. He's toned down the talking a lot. Not having those mental errors he used to have. He's really gotten the gist of what he's supposed to do. The big thing is, can he hold that spot in left corner? Because he's got the physicality, he's got the ranginess, the long arms, the nastiness, the aggressive style that Nick Saban wants at 6'2". It's just now, can you hold the spot? You've won it in fall camp, but can you hold on to it? It's the biggest thing with Trevon Diggs. If he gets out here against Louisville and does his job, he can finally have the season he's envisioned on having, but he's number 4. Last but not least, at number 5, rounding this list out here for Alabama players on the clock, and I'm putting this guy on the list based on now is his moment to prove he can do this thing consistently, and that's Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. Should Nick Saban trot him out there as a starter? I would not be surprised if Jalen Hurts goes out there due to his experience and he gets the starting nod here. But if Tua Tagovailoa is the starting quarterback, I want to see, can he do it a full game? Can he go out there from the first snap to the last snap and have that type of control that he had in the national championship game? Everybody's talked about him all off season, from Trent Dilfer to Kirk Herbstreit. Now I want to see, from start to finish, from the first quarter to the last quarter, wire to wire, can Tua Tagovailoa show me I can do this consistently? I can hit guys consistently. I can make the right pass consistently. I can hit the open guy consistently throughout the entire game. He does that, more power to him. But I got him listed right here due to what Alabama's offense could be with him throwing the football, but more importantly, can he do it the entire game, wire to wire, against the Louisville defense? And as I mentioned in the first segment, it's Etheridge and John Greenard at linebacker. Aside from those two, you have a journeyman defensive coordinator and a lot of unknown factors for the Louisville Cardinals. Running back for this list again, Alabama guys on the clock for me. Mack Wilson, the first guy at linebacker. Number 2, Quinnen Williams, defensive tackle. Number 3, Josh Jacobs at running back. Number 4, Trevon Diggs at corner. And at number 5, Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. Taking our final break here on this edition of In My Own Words. When we get back, prediction time. I lay out my 10 games for the SEC, Southeastern Conference. Probably a couple of national games in there as well. I will pick 5 straight up, and I will pick 5 against the spread. How accurate can I be? We'll find out on the other side of the break. We'll be back, folks.